this class is to help you guys with the for sale by owners and expireds, give you some scripting around acquiring those appointments, and then also helping you with a strategy of how do we find these leads and how do we convert them. So I'm going to start with the for sale by owners, and the most common way to research and get for sale by owners is simply just probably driving around is honestly the best source of finding for sale by owner. I'm going to close a couple doors and be right back. Driving around and finding, just an odd sign on some odd street, because likely that for sale by owner may not be advertising. Ooh, I just found a dime. Whoa. We will give it to Katie who cares if nobody claims it. Okay, so because typically that for sale by owner may not be advertising on websites or Craigslist or other mainstream sources. They may just be the type that puts a sign in the yard and hopes that it sells, and thinking that they just put flyers on there. So those are also going to be the ones that typically other agents aren't going to find unless they happen to be driving down the same street. So I usually find my biggest gems are the crazy little signs that look like they're faded, half fallen over. Those are the best leads because they're not getting any traffic. Most likely they are stale and need your help. Secondly, you can get online for salebyowner.com, buyowner.com. Or definitely, you can do a web search for sale by owners websites. Have to be careful. Some websites are listing companies that are illegal in the state of Missouri, where it's a per fee. So the seller lists with the property, with the real estate company. The real estate company puts it in the MLS for them, but they have to put their own sign in the yard and provide the pictures to the listing company, and then the listing company just puts it in the MLS for a flat fee. Whether it sells or not, they got their money. They don't take any responsibility for the listing. So you do have to be careful not to cross a listing like that. Hi, Brian.
Hi.
Coming in. You coming in?
Is there still food here? That's what I wanted to know.
No, there is only Coke and water. I'm sorry. You can go through the trash and get the crumbs.
Nothing in that box? Okay.
Now, can an owner put it on the MLS they can't put it on there by themselves?
No. You must be a licensed agent and a member of the Kansas City Regional Association of Realtors in order to have that listing put on the multiple listing service. Yeah, great question. So they have to hire someone, but there are flat fee companies out there that will do that and just charge them a fee, and it can be anywhere from a few $100s to a couple $1,000s. They'll have to still agree to pay the buyer's agent a certain commission, which they'll put in the MLS as to how much they're paying. They're just saving the rest of that 6%, and I think it's very easy to support to a seller that, if you have the opportunity to speak to someone who's getting ready to expire, has expired, that's been with a company like that, why the difference in what they paid and the rest of the commission would have been well worth their time and money. Because granted, most of these people, they may get lucky and they may sell. If they price it right, they could be okay. A lot of them expire and get frustrated or cancel their contracts before it's over. If you need help understanding if it's okay to call that company or to call that seller or not, ask Bill Arbuckle or our broker, because he can let you know what types of agency it's okay to contact the seller, because there are some that are with those types of companies and there are some that aren't.
And the MLS will show that?
The MLS will have how the seller agent is representing that seller.
Okay.
And then go talk to Bill and I'm not even going to try to pretend like I understand all of that. I generally don't go after them if they're in the MLS. That doesn't mean you might not have the right to do that, so just go get some extra help. That's not what this class is for. But just know that is a possibility that you may be able to, and sometimes you'll do it innocently, just driving down the road, you see the for sale by owner sign, because they'll put their own signs in the yard, it'll still look like a for sale by owner sign. And I believe in the state of Missouri that the brokerage is supposed to have a brokerage sign with the brokerage number on it. And so it still can be a little sneaky tricky. So just know that that exists. All right, one thing that's cool, just segueing, not meaning to get into expireds yet, but one thing that's cool about those particular listings is that when they do expire, typically the seller's phone number is going to be in the multiple listing service under the showing agent remarks, because you have to contact the seller directly in order to set up the showing. These companies don't provide the co-op system service. And so their name and number is going to be right there in the agent showing remarks. So when they expire, look for that because it may be in there. So anyhow, those are kind of fun to chase down. All right. So Craigslist is also another resource for finding for sale by owners. They very often commonly use Craigslist to advertise their homes for sale. So that's another way to gather their information and give them a call. Those are the best ways that I know to just kind of chase these people down, but really the organic way, just having your radar up, your in bold, your RAS, your reticular articulating system. Once you put that in your head that I'm looking for sale by owner signs, and every time you see one, you'll start noticing them where you hadn't noticed them before. And of course, during campaign seasons, it's a little it's like, oh no, it's a campaign sign, But and also, there are certain cities in our area that don't allow pointer signs, but they'll only allow a yard sign. So if you have a for sale by owner that's in Gladstone, for example, they can't put pointer signs. Neither can we on the corners. The city will pick them up. So they can only do it in their front yard. Same thing with homeowners associations that don't allow pointer signs, or they'll only allow them for certain times during open houses and stuff like that. So when you have a limited ability for a for sale by owner to be able to market, driving through and physically going through those subdivisions or cities and just kind of being, like I said, being sensitive to seeing signs in the yard, they're probably struggling because they can't get that extra, advertising out on the main street corners.
So for sale by owners cannot do that, but an agent could?
Not necessarily,
Okay.
no.
So what you're saying is Gladstone, that they'll take your sign?
They'll take your sign. Yes, they will take your sign. Yes, they'd be happy to do it. They've taken a few of mine. So I've had open house signs that if I put them up too early on a Friday, they'll snag them before the weekend. Now after they go home on Friday at 5, you're good. But I tried to cheat it out a little bit, just having a scheduling conflict, try to get them up around 3, and they'll come and get those from you. So you can go pick them up. They have a graveyard for all the signs that they picked up in the back, but you do have to make a call and get access to it. So anyhow. All right, I've also had City of Kansas City take a permanent sign, like a yard sign, because I put it too close to the road. So I've had that happen as well.
Is there a certain distance?
Yeah, well, I found out that there is a certain distance. It's you have to look at where the utility easements are, and what he told me is don't set them inside any overhead utility lines, or if there's fire hydrants or things like that. Don't get them inside that the city doesn't like that. So my listing was that happened. It was on Rocomas, just south of 68th Street. And they had a little bit of a hillside, at the front, and this house was set back. So I went down on that hillside where it flattened out and put the sign there. And it was still 5 feet from the road, so it wasn't like I was blocking vision or anything, but it was inside that utility easement, and they made me take it away. Or actually, they took it for me. So I had to go replace the sign. It was very sweet. I really appreciated that. So, and then they called me. And we took your sign.
At least they called you.
At least they did, I guess, but still, I was annoyed. All right. Okay, so we get our for sale by owners, and you get that list gathered, and you're going to try a couple different scripts. I think everybody has their own personality of what's going to work, so I've given you several to choose from here.
Oh, I didn't. I'm sorry. I didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry, my fault.
That's okay.
Don't forget to sign us up, Carol.
I've got the clipboard right here.
Thank you very much.
I'll pass that I learned there's always people that sneak in late, so I try to catch them when they're here.
I was set up early, but.
That's okay. That's not a direct. to
Right,
you.
right.
Usually, like my past the clip where the
Yeah,
first
absolutely.
minute and then people sneak in and they don't get it signed.
Right. I appreciate
Okay, all right, so, so the first one is, and this is adapted for an answering machine. And I think theories will vary from agent to agent as to whether or not they like to leave messages on answering machines or not. I've been in classes that have taught both coaching theories. One is that if you don't leave the message, then people are sometimes just naturally curious about who called them, and then they'll call you back just to find out who you are. Problem with that for me was that I wasn't ready for that call when it came in, right? So I'm already downshifted, doing something else later in the day, out with the buyer driving around, and then all of a sudden I have to put it in for owner script, mode. And so I don't like getting caught, unaware. So if you don't leave messages, just know you may not be able to identify those phone numbers. Now, whether or not you do or don't leave a message, they're probably going to have their number on some sort of a caller ID. So you do kind of just need to have your radar up that could happen, regardless of what happens. If you do leave the message, then this is a message that I might leave. And it reads, "Hi, this is Carolyn Geiger with Keller Williams Realty. I see that you have a house for sale at 1234 Main Street. Often when I'm out with buyers, I'm asked about homes like yours, and I like to be familiar with what's on the market. I was hoping to set up a time with you that I could come out and just take a look at your property. Could you give me a call at this certain number?" And at least they know what you're calling about, and then when they call you, they can say, "Hey, this is Bob at such and such, and I was calling to set up an appointment." Then at least I know it's not this, "Well, you called me today." And then I'm like, okay, I don't know why I called you today. 30 calls later, I'm like a little unsure. The other thing you can do if you're calling out from your personal cell, you could save any numbers and mark them or put them in a group, in a for sale by owner group. So at least when it pops up on your phone, you can see, oh, that's a for sale by owner. And I don't put their name or anything, but I might just put FSBO or EXP, just so when they do ring me back, I at least have a clue what maybe they are. I don't take the time to do that with everyone, but if there's a specific for sale by owner or somebody I've really been trying to call, or I might do that. All right, the next one. "Hi, my name is Carolyn Geiger. I'm a professional real estate agent with Keller Williams. I really care about real estate in Kansas City, Northland, or where it is that you're calling. And I like staying informed of what properties are available in the area. Could I do a quick tour of your property so I could see what you have?" And this is, again, we're not initially going right after the seller to get the listing. This is a soft opening. So it's just, I want to preview because I'm just curious about all the homes in the market. Okay, that's all I'm trying to do. Never promise that you have a buyer that's interested in their home. You can say, when I'm out with buyers and we drive by homes like yours, sometimes they're curious. You could certainly say that. Now, if you really have a buyer, that's fine. Go ahead and say that. Sometimes if you're struggling to find the right house for a buyer, looking at the for sale by owner and expired market is a way for you to find a home that no one else knows about. And sometimes you can find a nice deal for your buyer. So if you do have a buyer, great, you can call that out. But if you don't lie about it. You can still turn this listing without being deceitful, okay? All right, now, so then, let me explain what happens. So then you're gonna go do you're gonna do the preview. That's just simple. Take a little clipboard, with, maybe bedrooms, bathrooms, and write in some information. If it has granite, hardwood floors, what the price they're asking. I just do a quick interview with the property. And then I'm simply going to maybe morph or combine a couple of the other scripts that we're gonna cover and just start asking them questions about how it's going for them in the market. So yeah, I try to sell homes too. I'm curious, how's your experience been so far? Are you getting a lot of calls for showings? Have you received any offers? What is your feedback? How do you feel about that? When do you need to move? Just gonna ask some gentle questions about how it's going. And if you sense frustration, then it's great. I have pretty good luck with working with for sale by owners like you and getting their homes on the market and sold through the multiple listing service. How long would you try to sell it yourself before you'd hire someone like me? Right? That's a pretty simple, non-invasive way to ask them the question. And, you know, they're gonna give you an answer. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a month, it could be 3 months, it could be never, it could be sign me up, right? You could get any of that. And so the point is that not at that appointment, but I wanna set another appointment to at least show them my, you know, abilities and talk to them about the market in more depth, okay? And that would be more of the listing appointment. So because if you try to turn them at the preview into a listing appointment right there and they're not willing to go there, you're gonna fight. You need to come from contribution with these people. They do need your help. They just don't always want to admit it yet. Some of them just want to try it themselves or save the commission, okay? So if the seller is willing to listen to you, fine, go ahead, but don't take too long, don't take up too much of their time. But if you can get it signed that night or that day that you're there, do it. You know, absolutely do it. But if you feel like it's not going to happen, then just get permission to follow up with them and just see how it's going. Find out if they're doing an open house and call them the night or the morning that they're after that open house and find out how it went. Hey, how did you do? I did an open house last weekend too. I had 2 people. How many did you have? You know, and you're coming again from contribution just to get excited for them. How was it? Did you get an offer? And likely that first sale owner probably had some people maybe come by, but they didn't get any offers. And you'll also always hear this one, that, oh yeah, we had a buyer come in and they said they really liked it, but they have to get their approval. And so, you know, hopefully they'll call us back this week. But they said they really liked the house. And then they'll never hear from that buyer again. Because buyers that look at for sale by owner houses never admit to the seller they don't like the house because they don't want to offend them, right? They're not going to say, yeah, your ugly counters will never work for us. Like, they don't ever say that. I'm not saying that's the way it is, but, you know, whatever it is that they don't like, they're just not going to be honest. They're just going to say, okay, we really like the house, we'll get back with you, or we're going to talk to our lender. I guarantee you they probably already have the approval in their back pocket. That's their excuse for getting away from the seller. So the seller thinks they have this great house that everybody loves, and they're just confused as to why they're not getting offers. And I just have to point that out to them. That, you know, oh great, well I'm glad you had an excited buyer. How many times have you heard that from a buyer so far? Yeah, you know, I find that to be very common. Buyers that aren't working with agents will very rarely tell a seller how they really feel about a home. So you'll have the impression that everything is great and they love your home, and they're thinking, we're never coming back here again, and that's why you never hear from them. And so you need someone like me that can help you to get your home on the market and get the truth from the buyers and the agents that are helping them, so that we can price your house right, get it on the market, and get the condition correct, so that it'll sell. So does that sound pretty easy? This is gentle stuff. I mean, it's not like going in there and like arm wrestling them into listing with you. Sometimes it takes weeks. Okay, just be prepared. This is a contact sport, and sometimes it just takes a consistent follow-up. Every single for sale by owner, and really every single expired, should get some sort of a follow-up from you once you've made the initial contact or call. We call that an 8x8. Come to 33 Touch Mastery and we'll show you more in depth how to do that. But basically an 8x8 is one piece of communication every week for 8 weeks at minimum. Sometimes for sale by owners need calls along with the notes and postcards and whatever it is that you're sending them. Have some sort of a written follow-up plan. eEdge has some already written in, or you can create your own. Where you're going to give them a call on a weekly basis, and after the call you're going to send them a handwritten note the very first time, and then you're going to go visit them, send them another handwritten note that it was nice to see you, it was great to look at your lovely home, and then maybe you put them on some sort of a follow-up plan about, you know, the market conditions or things that you've done, evidence of your success. I listed a house today, come check it out. So these are just different ideas of things that you can send them, or just some general, you know, happy brochures about your business and you being an agent. There's all kinds of things in the eEdge system that you can download and print off on your own and mail to them, or have the system mail it for you. Okay.
Have you ever come across, whenever you've asked, oh, are you gonna have an open house soon? Because then you would want to know when to call them back. Mm-hmm. Have they ever said, you know, I never thought about that. Are you able to help me with that?
Okay, so in that situation, go have a conversation with our broker about how, I've never offered to do that. I've heard a couple people
what
do
if they
that.
asked you?
To do the open house?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never done that. I've never had that come up. I
Oh,
doubt
gosh,
that it
figures.
would. No, and I've heard of people, doing that, or maybe they're doing a house down the street, and so they'll bring in a partner to sit at their home.
Right.
I think you just need to talk to our broker about
Okay.
how he feels about, because then it's an implied representation, so I
Right.
just wanna make sure you're on the straight. What I have done though, is I've done a soft marketing agreement where I have a third-party website where I can enter in my own listings. It's not just fed off the IDX, and I can put in manual listings. And so for a while, when we were really like lead generating for sale by owners very heavily, I kept a list of for sale by owners in the area that were willing to pay us a buyer's agent commission that would agree for us to post them on our website as a home for sale. And so that was okay. And that's an idea. Or you can just keep a list. It doesn't have to be on a site. You can just keep a list that you hand any buyer in a consultation. That, hey, here's a list of for sale by owners that I keep that aren't on the market. You're not going to get this list with any other agent. Gives you value. And you can go to the for sale by owners and tell them that. But here's the danger, is that if you offer a seller too much advertising, why would they hire you at a 6%, right? So you can do a few things to prove value and come from contribution. That's okay. You want to help them some, for sure. I once took gold from a coach that did a physical 8x8. So he would give them handwritten notes anytime he saw them. But what he would do is he would drive by, leave the car, door open, car running in the driveway, and whatever it was, there's always something wrong with the for sale by owner sign, okay? It's crooked, you can't read it, there's no flyers, there's always something a little bit wrong. And if not, then he would still do it this way. Knock, knock, knock. Hey, I'm a top agent in the area. I was just on my way to an appointment. I drove by, saw your for sale by owner sign. Did you know that there's no flyers out there? As a real estate professional like you, trying to sell a house, I just thought you should know, because you don't want a buyer to drive by and not see the sign. By the way, I always like to know about all the homes on the market. Could I come back at another time and preview your home just so I know what's for sale? Especially if I have this listing down the street, it'd be nice to know about yours. And then he'd set the appointment to come back. So then when on the comeback, he would drive to the preview appointment. He would have an item of value. So it would be a seller's disclosure, a lender list. What if your buyer comes in and needs help getting a loan? Would you know where to send them? What if your buyer needs to do an inspection? Do you know who you would use? What if your buyer does inspections and has radon issues? Who would you call? What if you need termite treatment? Who would you call, right? There's, probably 5 to 6 different, vendors and people that you can help them with, like, hey, have you ever thought about this? Here's somebody you can use. Here's a title company for when you close. Here's a set of documents. And so every week he would drive by and then hand them something else of value. And he had a certain order, and I don't remember the order, but it was just that he physically would go and knock that door every single week. He just kept a list, and he would say that typically by week 6 to 7, they're like, just come list it. Just list it. Because he had demonstrated his ability.
Hard work.
Yeah, his hard work and his ability to follow up. And by bringing to their mind something that they hadn't thought of that could be a challenge with the for sale by owner. Okay?
Carolyn, why would he leave his door open? I know there's a reason behind it, but.
The first time, because he didn't want the first, because he didn't want to necessarily go into the house the first time. In other words, it's the takeaway close. So it's like, hey, I'm here, I saw this, I'd love to see your house, gotta run. And by leaving the door open and the car running, it shows that he's in a hurry. So that they're not intimidated or thinking that he's wanting to just storm his way to their house.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of that takeaway. Like, here I am, I have value, but I don't want to see you right now. So that was kind of the pattern around it. So, and because it is uncomfortable, I think for sale by owners to have somebody just show up at the door and just want to come in. It's just, so that's how he used the door knocking to at least make get in front of them and then hand them something of value or set up the appointment. So that's kind of cool. All right, next script. Hi, my name is Carolyn. I understand that you have a home for sale. Are you aware of the liability you are assuming by trying to sell it yourself? And for sale by owner is probably going to be like, what? What you talking about? And so Then you're gonna say, Keller Williams has been selling real estate professionally for years now and may have some knowledge that can really help you navigate in today's market. I believe it would be worth 15 minutes of your time to let me more fully explain some of these issues and ways to avoid problems. Does Thursday night or Friday sound great? Now this is a little more direct. This is a more direct script that you're kind of going in there to get the listing. I think every agent will have a personality of how they like to handle this, and your personality may even change after some experience. And if you find yourself a script's not working, change the script and find something that comes out of your mouth that doesn't sound like a script, number one. And number two, that is more how you work, okay? But if you're very aggressive and you just want to get in there and get the listing, that's an interesting script to at least have them go, well, what are you talking about? Because sometimes they don't think about that stuff. They just don't think about what happens if the appraisal doesn't come back. You know, I had a neighbor that I didn't really know that well. Put their home on the market with a flat fee company because they were very upside down in the house. And they were embarrassed to even come get me because of that. And so they listed with this company, and the appraisal came in $5,000 lower than the sales price they had agreed to. And the appraiser was wrong. Like, there was 2 other sales in the neighborhood that would have supported the price that they did agree to, and they didn't know what to do. The agent that they had hired was out of an office in, I don't know, Columbia or St. Louis, because it was we'll put it in MLS for you. And so they just accepted it and took the loss and brought more money to close. Now, they were at a $200,000 price point. If they had hired an agent with that extra 3% that they would have paid, would have been almost right at $6,000, except that they paid this other company something. And that perhaps they might have even done a better job of negotiating the sales price to a higher price because they did discount from the price they were offering.
They could have also been in contact with the appraisal company and talked to them.
Absolutely, and they didn't know what to do. And by the time I found out about it, because I'm good friends with their neighbor, I was like, you're kidding me, that just happened? What, you know, that they could have fought that
lowered the
down.
price of my house.
Yeah, exactly. Well, right, yes. Yeah, everyone's upset, but however, you know, what a tragedy. That's how a for sale by owner can lose money doing it themselves. That's how you can gain the commission by providing that value. That's how they pay a commission, but they make more money at the end. Is it about the commission, or is it about the money you get at the end, right? All right, so now we got another one. Here's another way to do this. Hi, my name is Carolyn. I work with Keller Williams Realty. Can I ask you a couple of quick questions about your property? Tell me a little bit more about your home. What's your favorite feature? How long have you had your home on the market? What are you doing to market your home? How did you come up with the asking price? Why did you try to choose to sell it yourself as opposed to hire an agent? How long will you try to sell it by owner before you allow me to sell it? And realtor. If you're not bold, say a realtor. But, okay. This is just a sneaky, this is just an interview. Tell me about your house, right? It's no different than any other buyers probably having with them except for the very last 2 lines. But this is a script to get them comfortable talking to you. And once a for sale by owner starts talking, if you just lock it down and ask questions and let them talk, they'll talk forever because you haven't said that you have a buyer. But they're going to assume that you do. So they're going to want to keep you on the line because they want your buyer. And through the talking and telling their story, they will develop a relationship with you. When people have a conversation, even though you're not saying much, they're doing all the talking, they're developing a relationship with you. They're getting comfortable with you. So allow them to talk and just lock it down, let them tell their story, ask the questions, calm your eye, and a lot of times at the end of this, how long were you going to do this before you let somebody help you? And then you're going to get an answer. And then all of these scripts, this is the tie-in. It is great. We should meet. Do you know what I do to get homes sold? And they're not going to know. And it doesn't matter what you do. So don't get all wrapped up about that. The point of the exercise is, do you know what I do to get homes sold? No, great. Let's plan 15 to 20 minutes to meet. Is Thursday or Friday at whatever times you want to, better.
So this is something you would say on the phone before you meet them or once you
Before I
get
meet
them
them. Yes, exactly. Or if I'm doing the simple preview, I'm going to wrap it up with, How long are you going to keep selling it before you try to get help? You know, I hope you can sell it. Support them. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. Just to tell them you hope they get it sold. You know, like a house seller like me and a house seller like you. I sure hope that you can sell the home. If you need some help, I'm right here for you. I mean, come from contribution. The other thing is most agents are going to stop at the preview and not even ask. They're not even going to take that next step to ask to come back to try to help them sell the house. They'll do the preview and then run away. And they might follow up once, and then they never hear from them again. So if you happen to get fortunate enough to get in a relationship with a for sale by owner, ask them these questions after you've secured the listing and say, you know, I'm just curious, how many agents tried to call you as a for sale by owner and asked to see your home? And how many of them kept in touch? Just be curious. It'd be interesting to know the answer to that question. So, okay. So that's your for sale by owner. Expireds. Expireds are coming from a different head place. They've been pretty beat up, one way or another. Either by the agent that had them listed that never communicated with them, or didn't sell their home and they're angry about that. They might have had good communication from the agent, but the market beat them up. Okay, they, didn't like the home, didn't have the right floor plan, didn't have the right colors of counters, or whatever it is. Or they may have been neglected by the market. No showings, never heard from anybody, we don't know what's wrong, we just need to sell, okay? So this is a little bit, not saying it's a counseling session, but it kind of turns into one. And again, walk it down, ask questions, and just listen. Because through them telling you the story and you allowing that anger to hit you, and then deflect it and just keep calm and ask questions, they'll work their way out of it. The majority of agents will call that for sale by owner, and the for sale by owner, so Mrs. For sale by owner, Mrs. Expired, I see that your home has expired at 1234 Main Street. Is it still your intention to sell? Give me anger.
Yes.
Okay, great. So if I had a buyer for your home, would you still be interested in selling it?
Yeah, but I'm not paying you.
Okay, great. So tell me about your experience. What's happened since that you were on the market and now it's expired?
Well, we didn't have any showings, and they never came over, and they said they were coming, and they didn't, and they drove up, and they left, and...
Oh my gosh, that's horrible. I'm so sorry that happened to you. So why do you think that happened?
I don't know, my agent never told me.
The agent never told you. So what did your agent do really well for you?
She put the sign in the yard.
She did. She did a good job of that? Okay, right? Okay, and what do you think your agent could have done different?
Well, the house didn't sell, and we didn't get any showings, and I cleaned it up, and I did everything I was supposed to do.
Oh, yeah, I totally understand. So if you did have a showing by chance and you got some feedback, what was that like?
Well, they kept talking about this carpet. I love this carpet. It's green,
Okay.
and I love green.
We all sure, absolutely. That's so true. But I mean, she's doing exactly what's normal. Because if you ask them these questions, now what do I know? The
It needs
agent,
to be updated.
right,
probably.
needs to be updated.
Overpriced,
Right? It's
probably.
probably overpriced, and her agent neglected her as well. And so I'm just gonna show empathy to that. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Tell me more about that. Oh my gosh, well what, right? So what you have in front of you is almost that script that I just did with her. It's just a series of questions. This is not rocket science, okay? But you have to let them get mad, accept that anger, and then start asking questions. Because even though she's playing a role, did you not sense that she went from frustration, or from anger to frustration to sadness right during that conversation? She didn't know I was gonna ask her to do that, but that's what happens, is they'll start to soften and then get to a depressed place. And so then do you know what I do? I help lots of expireds like you, right? And if you're a newer agent and you haven't helped anybody, our company, Keller Williams, is very experienced at working with for sale by owners just like you. Expires just like you. It doesn't matter. And you should know what we do to get homes sold. When can we meet?
Well, can you come right now?
Sure, absolutely, right, so you set that appointment, it's just done, I mean, it's just that easy. You just have to ask the questions. Don't let the anger get to you, just accept it. They'll calm down. Now occasionally you are gonna get the person, you're gonna get the for sale by owner and the expired, they're just gonna be like, "Ah," right? And they're just gonna hang up on you, or they're just gonna spew all over you. And you know what? There are handlers for that when people get angry. Until you get strong enough to deal with that, just next, go find the willing. you know, because here's the deal. You can turn those people just by using a script like this. Like, I sense a lot of frustration. I know you're angry. I'm sorry about that. Tell me about it, right? And you can still do that. But if you really come across somebody that's just being a nut, just hang up, because you know what? You probably don't want to be in a relationship with them for 6 months. Because if it's bad now and there's no common sense happening, there's probably not going to be common sense when you have to negotiate an offer. So just make your life easy and find the willing. Okay, there's plenty of people out there. But from time to time, you're going to get the angry person that just needs to get angry and get over it. And this script will let you explore that with them. Okay? Now, rules: never trash the agent that had the listing. Never say anything bad, no matter what they say. You know, John Doe just did the worst job ever, and you know what he did, and he did this, and he did that, and it doesn't matter. Don't go there. They can talk, that's fine. You can listen, but don't go, oh yeah, I know, he's a horrible agent. Never do that. Don't ever do that. Just say, I totally understand. It sounds like you didn't have a match. Let's see if we're a match, right? So you just didn't have a match. That's terrible. Because you know what? You guys might call an expired of mine and have that same conversation. It doesn't mean I'm a bad agent. I mean, we just weren't a match. I've got a couple sellers. I was like, thank God expired. Right? Because it's like, we're not a match. And you don't always find that out up front. So just be gentle about that and hope that you're a match. Because if you are, that's great. Take that opportunity and go sell a house. Okay? All right. Second script for expireds. Hi, my name is Carolyn. I work with Keller Williams Realty. One of my specialties is working with properties that have not sold. I was wondering, do you know why your home didn't sell? And then they might give you an answer that, I don't know, or, agent did this. And you could say, what if it's worth something else? If I could show you how to get top dollar in today's market, would you be interested in meeting with me? This is just another script, another way to go. That's a little bit shorter. If they say no, they don't want to get a competitive, market analysis. Say, I understand, but since your home hasn't sold, was it your intention to not get a competitive bid? In other words, you don't want to know why your home didn't sell or talk to somebody else about it? Not all agents are alike. Since your home didn't sell and there's a reason it didn't sell, I was just wondering if you would be offended if I asked for your permission to present you with a competitive market analysis and proposal. This is a good script also to use if you look it up on MLS and you see bad photos, bad information, not a very detailed filled out listing. Because I never want to tell that seller on the phone, yeah, did you know your photos are like the worst I've ever seen? Because all they're going to do is take that information with the agent that they do have an appointment with and tell them to do, oh, well, I heard my photos were bad, right? So I never want to tell them over the phone what's wrong, but if I can get in front of them and then just say, here's your, and again, I'm not going to trash the agent that took the pictures. I'm just going to say, here's the pictures from the MLS of your home, and here's one of my homes that I have on the market right now. Do you see the difference in the photos, right? So I'm not going to say, John Doe did just really look at these pictures, they're horrible. I'm just going to present what I do and let them look at the difference.
So if you are a newer agent and you don't have
then you go print off some pictures from another Keller Williams agent. Go print off my pictures.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And I guarantee you they're good. They're
Okay.
clear, they're bright, you can see them, and they're not crooked. And then just claim it as your own, right? You're just going to talk into, you know what our office does, you know what Keller Williams does.
This is an example of what we do.
This is an example of what we do, right? And then go make sure you can duplicate it. And if not, just call me and
Yeah. Okay, I showed this awesome thing.
right, for a small fee, I can make sure your photos look great. Okay, just kidding. I mean, well, yeah, but. Okay. All All right, but there is resources and help for you on that. Okay, okay, so this just gives you guys a couple of, just some script ideas. All right, now how to get these people. Expireds, obviously, you're going to look through the multiple listing service and you're going to look on a daily basis to see what expireds have happened. You can be an expired snob, it's totally fine. Pick the, the areas you want to work, pick the price ranges of homes that you want to list. And don't be afraid to go high, and if a house in a lower price range speaks to you in some way, don't be afraid to go low if you need to. But certainly keep in mind that what you focus on expands. So if you're calling all the 100 and under listings,
That's gonna expand.
you're gonna have a lot of 100 and under buyers. So just be very cognizant of what you go after, because you'll find that what you focus on will come back to you. So think about that. I know for a fact some of the top agents in this building are expired snobs, and there are just certain, they look at a listing and they feel like it's not marketable, it'll be a hard sell, they won't call it. And because of that, you shouldn't be assuming that top agents that come in here or during the phone blitz and you see agents calling expireds and for sale by owners, that you shouldn't call them because they're already calling them. Nope, because they may be expired snobbing them, right? And maybe you see potential in that particular listing. Or as a newer agent, or one that's not as busy, you have more time to spend with people that need a little more help, right? That maybe you're more willing to take the listing at a price that they like and work them down over time through script handling and just getting some market knowledge and letting them self-discover with you at a controlled pace that the house is truly overpriced.
But don't you think too, whenever someone does receive a certain amount of phone calls, they're like, I've had people call me and I'm like, I just didn't like their voice, but I figured I'd like her or him.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and that's
So I called them back. I know 4 other people called me, but I called them back because I liked their voice.
That's right, and you never know, and also you don't know this. Somebody, Susie agent may be calling at 8 o'clock in the morning, and those people are gone, doing their lead.
Hannah Farrell, you have a guest at the front desk. Hannah.
Doing their doing their dropping kids off to school or whatever. They missed the call. You call them at 8:30, they're home, and you get them, right? It doesn't mean that somebody else didn't already attempt the call, but you were the one that was lucky enough to catch them on the phone. So don't assume anything. And agents aren't consistent. If you look at your own self, until you get into mastery of your lead gen time and your schedule, you will notice that there is a problem that agents generally have, and that is staying on schedule. Because a lot of times what happens is agents will lead generate for a period of time, a couple, 2-3 weeks, and they'll get really consistent and on purpose, and then suddenly they get a bunch of listings and a bunch of buyers in the car, and now they're dealing with all of that. And if they don't stick to the schedule of keeping on a, lead gen is from here to here, or if it gets disrupted, rescheduling it somewhere into the day, then they're going to fall apart and not lead gen. And that happens to top agents as well as new agents. And the better agents, the best agents that you see winning awards, are better at controlling their schedule. But the majority of people do struggle with this theory. So be consistent. Don't assume, because you may just be the only one that's actually calling that particular day or that particular time. You can also alter the times that you're calling expireds and for sale by owners, and especially expireds. So if you don't catch them in the morning, try them between 5 and 7. Try them between 3 and 4. Try them at different times of the day. Try door knocking. I did that for a long time. My husband and I would go out. We'd make the calls of everyone that we had numbers for, could get, and then 2 days a week we would gather the Clay County side, the Platte County side, maybe an extreme north side, out Kearney-Smithville area, and then we would drop packets. And so they weren't getting the packet necessarily that day that they expired, but I would save them up, and then we would, go drive those areas, so that once every 3 to 4 days we were getting at least packets dropped off. And then Saturday morning I would also, anybody else we didn't get, I would go out and door knock. And so that's another way when you don't have phone numbers that you can actually go out and get these people. And sometimes I would do that, and I would see other packets laying on the on the explore, is you can kind of tell how many people are actually doing that, but it would surprise you to know that, especially ones that were vacant, but maybe you couldn't tell from the MLS that they were vacant, that even 3 days later, there might only be 1 or 2 packets laying at the door. So you just can't assume that everybody's doing everything that they should be doing when they should be doing it. But if you can be that person, there's plenty of business for you, and you will gain most of it just by doing it.
What about mailings?
You could do mailings as well.
Yeah.
It's slower process.
Uh-huh.
If I have the phone number, I'm going to prefer to do the phone number first. But if I can't get a hold of them, or I see they're an out-of-state seller, then then I probably would put them on some sort of a little plan, an 8x8 plan. So, okay.
What's in your packets that you make?
What's in my packet?
Yeah.
My packet's just a simple brochure about my team, about me as a real estate agent, kind of like a loose resume, if you will, you know. And then maybe a little blurb about Keller Williams as a company. You can use some of the market statistics that we give you through the team meetings about how much real estate we sell. You can have if you look on eEdge and probably on KW Connect, that you can find a lot of materials about something to send to an expired that says why didn't your home sell, and the top 10 reasons why. You can find things like that if you want to create a little flyer about that. I don't really have anything really extra special. It's just a little here's about me, here's about the market. Here's a little, I don't give a full marketing plan because I don't want them to assume anything that I do or don't do, but I just give them our team will, put your home on the internet. We have, top-notch, marketing. We're not afraid to door knock, and just kind of something like that, just a little brochure. So anything that you might put in a pre-listing packet would be good to put into that. So, yeah. All right, any other questions? All right, you're out.
Thank you.
Go get them.